Good evening. My name is Rory, and you're watching The Varietal Show on Varietal Literature's YouTube page. What's that? Well, that is where I write along with you in the live chat if you're here live, or you can throw stuff into the comments if you do your own work along with us in the stream later as a video on demand. As you can see, it's basically me working with a Google Doc here, and I'm going to play through some solo tabletop RPGs, but the main goal here is just basically to write together, because I do believe that writing can be a communal activity, and I do believe that narrative is derived from communities. So, if you are not watching this live, down in the description below, there will be timestamps. If you just want to know the results of the game, or you want to jump to the rules of the game, or whatever else may catch your fancy, you go right ahead. If you're here live, you're stuck with me live. Also, if you're not here live, there will be a pinned comment with this game down in the description where you can buy it, or if you don't have the money, you can do they have community copies there. I have quite a few. This was a recommendation from one of our viewers who joins us in the chat. I hope they will be able to join us today, but if they can't, feel free to say hello in the comments, Witchery. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the game, and then I'm going to make you guys a deal out there in YouTube land as a viewer. So stick around to there. It's coming up in literally 10 seconds. GS says, hope Witchery shows up. That would be cool. If they can't, they can't, though. Not everyone is available all the time. Why not take the music down just a touch? Pretty as it is dominating my ear a bit. Okay, so it was a bit more than 10 seconds. This part of the show is called litgames. It stands for literature games, and it is effectively a write-along. This is a write-along stream, and litgames involves taking prompt structures, whether that's rolling dice or drawing cards, and trying to generate a story, a character, a scene, a vignette, whatever else out of it. I like writing, and if you like writing too, you might like this. By the way, if you like this, I'm going to make you a deal. I don't normally stretch a game over multiple streams because basically viewership falls off immediately. People come for the novelty of the first one and then never show up again to a repeat of that. So I don't tend to do multi-part things. However, we're coming into August, and anybody who does sort of online streaming knows that August is a dead month for this because everyone goes on vacation. So with that in mind, I'll make you a deal. If today's game, if you like it, if this video gets 6 likes or more, likes, views don't really matter because the way that Google or YouTube calculates views is bizarre. But if this gets 6 likes, then I know that 6 people, and this is what you'd be telling me with those likes, 6 people would be willing to show up for a second part of it. And I'm willing to do this with 6 friends. You know, whether you want to join in the chat or just lurk. So if you enjoy this game and you want to see us carry on with that character into next week, if before next week this video gets 6 likes or more, I will carry on with the game. Now there are mechanical reasons why you might want to do that. This is a pretty involved RPG. The first part we're going to do today is mainly like character setting up and leaving. It doesn't really get into the full meat of its mechanics until if we hypothetically have the second stream. So, with that in mind, if you do want to see this game played a little bit more, just please remember to like the stream. And if you are like, yeah, it's not really for me, then don't bother. I'll sort of take that as my indication of what people want to do with me. With that said, let's talk about the game today, and maybe that'll help you make up your mind. This game is called Koriko. Koriko is the name of Kiki's hometown in Kiki's Delivery Service, which is a movie that you may not have heard of, but I would recommend, if you were not watching this right now live with me, go watch it. It's on Netflix in Canada anyways. I don't know if that's the case for the world over, but it is relatively important to understanding the gist of the game, I think. It is explicitly based on it. That's why it's named after Kiki's hometown, which will be actually the name of the town that we end up going to, which is a bit of the opposite of how Kiki's Delivery Service as a movie works. The gist of the game, and it's a very hard game to summarize, but the gist of the game is we need to, through a series of prompts and choices and people that we meet, decide if we're going to stay in a town or go back home. So, for those who haven't seen Kiki's Delivery Service, the gist of the premise of the film, the impetus of the story, is that witches are in the world. They are real. They are sort of a fading order. They ride around on brooms and they have little black cats with them, and in that sort of traditional sense of witches. But they are sort of local. They set up little small local businesses, and the way that they do that, whether it's making potions for ailments or in the case of Kiki becoming a delivery service with her flying broom, is at the age of 13 they go away for a year, find a city, settle down, and sort of offer their witching services where they learn how to be a witch kind of on their own. And we are basically, this game, Koriko, is structured around the idea that we are one of those witches and we are going away for a year. And the way that it structures its play is over 6 volumes, though I would argue it's closer to 7 or 8, but they call it 6, which involves us departing home, arriving in a town, going through spring, summer, fall, and winter, and then a conclusion at year's end about whether we want to stay in the town or go back home. To play the game, all you need is a tarot deck, which I'm not going to pick up because it's all sorted in a very particular way, which I don't think we'll get to today, but it's a thing. But also, dice. Lots of dice. For the most part, you're not going to be rolling these dice. We'll keep that as a hook for later. But today we will be rolling them. And for today's part, you need at least 2d6 dice. Sorry, I'm getting my rolling box out. I'm not really going to go into the rules too much as to how the tarot deck is set up, because we wouldn't really get to that section today. That would be a thing we get to next week if we get 6 likes. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of jump directly into the game. And there's a reason for that, which is this game is brilliantly set up. It really handholds you, in a good way, through the early prompts of the early character building and so on. And some rules and whatever else, it gets you through the first part of the game and to the point of having a character, a conception of their backstory and whatever else. And that's my main goal today. I want to get us to the point where we arrive in Koriko from whatever town we come from. And I don't need to really explain any mechanics. They are designed to be learned as you play. By the way, the art in this game is phenomenal. So if you're on board for a little sort of charming adventure of lighthearted witches, if you were a fan of Kiki's Delivery Service, I think you will like this tabletop RPG. It was a fairly successful Kickstarter. They had something like 8,000 people or 7,000 people buy the book and commit to it in that way. It is a full book. It's 140 pages. It's like a proper book. I think if you're interested in that, you will enjoy that. If you're looking for something more exciting or a little more edgy, this might not be for you. I don't know. Okay. So we're going to skip over all the preamble. Look at that wonderful art. Just absolutely amazing art in this. As it says, set up through play. which is why we don't need a big long explanation. I wish they all did this. We're going to set up our character and everything through play. So I'm going to read a little bit of the text. We're going to play this a little bit differently. GS says 140 pages with exclamations. Yes, but a great deal of that is like prompts and stuff. It's not like 140 pages of straight rules. In other words, a lot of it you wouldn't interact with in a single playthrough. You would sort of interact with one section in maybe 10 pages. This first volume, they call their stages of play volumes, and we're trying to get through the first volume today, is a little different from the rest. We're going to set up the game while playing it. You'll create your witch, giving them life as you gently explore their home and the people who are important to them. Zooming out for a moment, the pivotal question at the end of the game is this. As your year draws to a close, you will stay in Koriko, or will you return... will you stay in Koriko, or will you return to your home village? As such, it's important to understand what their village is like and what it means to leave it behind. So in other words, they want to establish where we start. And another pretty drawing. Okay. Let's start with the first thing here, which is we need to mess up our journal. So we'll do journal entry 1. But the first instruction in this game is to mess up something in your journal. Now, that sort of works. There's a little more options for when you're working with a physical journal. You know, you can mar it, put some ink spots on it, whatever else, get some dirt on the page. In this case, we're in text, so it could be a misspelled word, it could be the wrong word in there or whatever else, but we need to, first of all, make a mistake. And that's basically the game telling you this is not a place for perfection and not to worry too much about failure and success. So, GS... What should be our mistake? How should we open with our mistake? I'm gonna have a drink of water, and then I'll start showing you how they help you set up your characters. Jess says, well, the excitement is the adventure in a new town. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Like, for example, we could spell it journal. I'll let you think about that, because there's going to be a whole bunch of things that come here. So first off, we need our name. And we, as per usual, need our name and our pronouns. My default here will be she, her, unless somebody requests otherwise. But the let me know the name that we should give this character. If you're, looking for Japanese names, I can recommend some. I have the loosest understanding of the language, the kind of understanding that many years of Duolingo gives you, which is not very good. And then the other things that we need to look at are so basically the way this first section works is they're going to give us chunks of text that we can expand on or whatever else, but there's blanks to fill in. My name is blank. I'm a 16. Meiho, there we go. How about Miho? Miho is a Japanese name. Miho, I'm a 16-year-old witch in training. Now, why did they choose to make it 16? I don't know. But in the movie, it's 13, so I'm making it 13. I'm a 13-year-old witch in training. When you first see me, you'll probably notice my... And now we need 3 looks. Now, looks are not style. This is explained in the text. I'm just not showing you the text right now because it's dull. So I want you guys to take a breath. Think of your little witch. Miho, she's 13. A look is something about her nose, her cheeks, a blemish, a mole. Maybe her fingers are a little chubby. Maybe they're a little stringy, thin and long, or whatever else. Maybe she has longer legs than normal. Maybe she has shorter legs than normal. Maybe she is chubby in the cheeks. Maybe she's got good cheekbones that are high and well defined. Those are looks. Dimple, there we go. GS says, I believe the age of consent is 16 in Japan. Yeah, but we're not doing anything that requires consent, so I don't know. I'm sure there's some case for it, but movie said 13. I'm sticking with 13. When you see me, you'll probably notice my pair of dimples that emboss my face every time I smile. Ooh, a cowlick. I like that. Though for me, it's the silly cowlick that sticks up in the back of my hair. All the magic of a witch, of a master witch, and even my mother can't get that cowlick down. By the way, this is a fairly recent game. Blonde spot in one eyebrow. What a lovely little detail. You got a good mind for that. This is not people's appearances and stories are not a thing I'm particularly strong at. I do like my little tiger stripe in my eyebrow. That's what my dad calls it. I wear, and now we need two style things. I wear blank, and then I sort of keepsake, which they call carry here. So they give recommendations, or not recommendations, things that you can think of. So let me show you some of the style stuff that they have. They say heavy black robes, bright yellow dress, hand-me-down shirt, denim vest, moss-covered knitwear, herringbone coat, polyester jacket, boot cut jeans, baggy shorts, embroidered skirt, garish dungarees, shoes, string belt, spotless gloves, very pointy shoes, fraying sandals, pointed hat, flight goggles, bright red bow, wildflower braids, crown of briars, bone charms. Like, they're just giving you some ideas. Carry, dad's old 35mm camera, one of my many sketchbooks, a lime green pocket radio, a brass tin of boiled sweets, a cameo locket in coral and gold, a dog-eared almanac from the year I was born, my mum's final research notes. That's concerning. I don't know what that means. A pouch of soil from my garden, or a fallen star in a glass jar. So they give you some ideas there. For style. I think, the thing I was thinking about the movie, I was rewatching it today, obviously, in anticipation of this, and it's such an accomplishment in charisma and charm. Like, there's so much charm and little details in that movie. I wouldn't even say there's much in the way of a plot. And the central conflict kind of just gets dumped in without much introduction, and because he's so light on world building, you don't even really get a sense of anything that's going on. But what you remember and what drags you from scene to scene, or not drags you, it elevates each scene. It's little things like when they're flying in the storm, her cat Gigi has little static charge building up in his whiskers. Colorful knitwear. That's a lovely idea. See, the nice thing about chat is a lot of the things I'm not strong at are exactly the things that chat is strong at. I wear knitting that my grandmother, I mean, it could be a grandfather. Knitting that my grandmother made me out of all her custom vibrant yarns. My favorite is a long pink and cerulean swirl of a sweater that doubles almost as a skirt. Also, you say GS also said a plain black pinafore. Now there's a term I've heard, but I cannot draw to mind. Let me look it up. Oh, I don't think I've ever known that's what this was. Okay. It's like basically an apron. It's like an apron dress. A plain black pinafore is my second. I'm going to go for something with the like necklace or jewelry instead, though. I do like the idea, but so I braid my hair and weave it out into spry. I'm being pretty poetic for a 13-year-old. Pigtails. I never go anywhere, though, without okay, so GS says that's the thing to carry a piece of a broken doll in goblet AIF. I'm going to assume that's a typo because I don't know what that means. My apologies if it's not. A piece of a broken doll without maybe a little, I'll build on the doll thing, without my little wooden cloth ragdoll in the pocket of my jackets. Okay, now also we have to pick a familiar. Okay, so they give recommendations for this as well. A familiar, if anyone is not familiar with that turn of phrase, means like a partner animal. So they give you the recommendations of cat, owl, rat, skink, raven, toad, snake, mink, hawk, bat, spider, moth, crab. I will say for me, I like cats. I know it's not original, but cats are my scene. So we're gonna go with a cat. You'll probably also notice my familiar. We need a name for the cat and an adjective for it. Just says hamster. Hamster would be quite cute. I'm just vetoing Pet Chat's opinion. I want a cat. I do have a cat. He's staring at me right now, but he probably won't come over here, unfortunately. Okay, you'll probably also notice my familiar, I don't know, Buttons, Larry, Tomato, Tom for short. Raoul, the cat. Orange cat, okay. He is an orange tabby cat that never leaves my side. If he's orange, we could call him Creamsicle, Marmalade. Yolk. It's not a good name. How about Mango? Our bond is so strong that we can even talk to each other, though you probably won't understand us. That is the thing in the movie. Although in the movie, eventually, she stops hearing the cat that way. And the official explanation from Miyazaki and then also the producer is that the cat actually never talked to her. It's her talking to herself, and that she grew up enough that she didn't need the imaginary friend anymore. Which is a wonderful, like, piece of art about coming of age and whatever. But as a piece of fantasy, screw that. Obviously, you want your familiar to be an actually sentient little cat that hangs out with you. Okay, though you probably won't understand this. Okay, so most folks from my village would say I'm blank, and I'll tell you what traits are in a moment. I think the people close to me make it clear that I should always be. There's another trait. And as for me, I think I'm trait, and I really like to be more trait. So, what do they mean by traits? Here are some trait options they have. Friendly, helpful, charming, vital, lazy, lucky, ungrateful, spoiled, strange, hot-headed, easygoing, tenacious, pragmatic, composed, shy, modest, curious, tender, creative, cute, excitable, entertaining, admired, and boring. So, with the traits decided, well, the traits explained anyways, most folks from my village would say I'm, what, friendly, clumsy, silly, aloof, a dreamer, lazy, okay. I mean, that is the trope for young women in anime. They sleep in. That's the way every anime starts. The girl slept in and they have to run, and everyone is criticizing them. The people close to me always make it clear that I should be, well, harder working. As for me, I think I'm just efficient. Though I'd really like to be more, let's say, I don't know, independent. Gia said lazy. Oh, well, we've worked it in now. Gias was saying that they meant the cat, but it's okay. We worked it in now. Not gonna clarify that. Why do more work than I have to? Though I'd really like to be more independent. Okay, I'm writing this from home. What's a good name for a home village? Say Konomizu. The quiet little village I've lived in all my life. I live here with, I'm just going to call it my mother. With my mother, the village witch. Gonna remove that, because I don't feel like naming the mother since she barely ever is going to come up. People in the village say they're blank, but they can actually be blank when it's just us. So the mother can be... it can be either way, really, with this structure. The mother could be quite friendly, but she's very strict and private with her daughter. Or it could be that she's very strict and shrewd with business, but is actually quite warm and soft and private with her daughter. It could be lots of things. They could say that she is very hardworking, but she won't even get off the couch to get a napkin when I'm around or something. You know, we're just trying to build out the character, because obviously these little details can come up in stories later. Let's say they're a shrewd negotiator or a shrewd business person. No, you know what? I already changed my mind. They're a friendly and easygoing person. But they can actually be quite strict when it's just us. I have to... If I ever leave my laundry unfolded for a day, then my mom grounds me. Who folds laundry the day it's dried anyways? Since I've decided to become a witch, they have acted as my mentor, teaching me the basics of the old ways. We've learned a lot together, but now it's time for me to put it into practice on my own, far from their guiding hand. I think that's the game sort of restructuring it so it could be open to more family types and mentor relationships and whatever else. In the movie, it's basically implied to be genetic. Me and my familiar, me and Mango. Actually, Mango and I will be leaving on the next full moon, just 2 days from now, to spend a year away. And now here comes the important ones. I hope to what with this year away, but also want to what. So they call them drives, but they're like the motivation. You know, what do they want? I already kind of put one, which is independence. I hope to learn to be more self-sufficient. That's not how it's spelled. But also want to be a helpful talented witch like my mother. There we go. When I dream about my new home, because in the movie, and it seems in this game as well, you don't actually know where you're going. You just start flying and find a town. When I dream about my new home, I wake up with lingering memories of Aspect. Now, Aspect was the one I actually had to look up because I had no idea what they meant. And what it says is... what it means is aspects of the place you're going. The things that you'd be looking for where you're going. And so the examples they give is bright banners against crumbling walls, gnarled olive trees wound with gold thread, dusty libraries hiding rare titles, a great lake dotted with floating palaces, a jumble of stalls spanning a creaking bridge, rival department stores with elaborate displays, the restorative tang, a freshly brewed tea, the syrupy waft of warm treacle tarts, charming pickpockets with cheeky smiles, costume musicians on every corner, the sound of an orchestra tuning up, droning voices chanting scripture, a sacred and terrible machine. Again, some of these I don't know. GS says, such a cute Ponyo and cat. The cat is from Animal Crossing, but you are correct. That is Ponyo. Ponyo wants ham. That's a gift from a friend who was in Japan. At the Ghibli, whatever it was called. Ponyo is also a Ghibli film. Ghibli is the studio that makes Kiki's Delivery Service, but more specifically, it was the studio that kind of wrapped itself around a person named Hayao Miyazaki, who is an author, not an author, animator, who made these incredible films. He's still alive, but he just released his supposedly last film, although his last one was supposed to be his last film, to absolutely no previews. No advertising, nothing. He just released it. I don't even know how to get it. I don't even know what it's about, which is kind of exciting and cool, although I'm sure it's costing them more money. GS says, seaside and narrow alleys through old stone homes and shops. I like that. When I dream about my home, I wake up with lingering memories of a bright dawn on sea-touched sands and narrow, cool alleys. I'm going to change that. Narrow alleys through old buildings. That swirl with warm breezes over cool stones. Or which is a poet, whatever. Okay, so what we've done is created our basic background story, our character and our background story, which means that we need to start doing the farewells, which is 2 entries over 2 days, and these are the things that I want to get done, and then we'll see. I mean, if people are like, I was bored out of my mind, and there's like, that'll come through in the likes and the videos, and then we'll do something a little more punchy and different next week. But if people love it and want to see the story of Miho and her cat Mango through some of the seasons and whatnot, we will do another one next week. But you can see why this is definitely not a game that would fit in a single stream. Okay, with that said, let's get to our first entry. Well, our second entry, I guess. Journal entry 2. And the date I'll put is 2 days until the full moon. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, less than 3. MG, I believe 13-year-old girls would write. I could be wrong. So the way it works here, and it's weird because they teach you this mechanic and then it never comes up again. I don't know why in the introduction to the game they wouldn't start to introduce you to some of the mechanics, but it's like a separate little mini game to set you up anyways. For this we need 2 d6 dice. And what will happen is for 2 days, so for 2 entries, we are going to roll each day these 2 dice. One of them is going to relate to this list of reflections, which are going to be questions to give us an idea of what we should write in our little journal entry. The other one is going to be encounters, things that we saw around town or whatever as we're getting ready to leave the next day. So we will do this twice, basically. They're both 1s. Okay. What will you miss most about home? What are you glad to leave behind? And they give some recommendations there. My kin, my buddies, my smell, my studies. So that's our first prompt, which is our reflections. And then our encounters. A villager has a strange problem, and your mentor, or mother, asks you to take the lead in aiding them. What trouble do you uncover, and which lesson does your mentor prompt you to remember as you work? This game structures itself around lessons eventually. I'm just not talking about it so much here. Oh, that's very sweet. GS says, I set my pet frog Herbert free in Grandpa's pond, as in the voice of Miho getting ready to go. Okay. I'm gonna shrink this way down though. Okay. If there are any recommendations on what the problem should be, let me know. But we're gonna combine this idea that the mentor asks us to help this villager with a strange problem. In that, we are going to remember what we're going to miss about home. So hopefully the story will wrap on that. And we're also going to remember what we are glad to leave behind. So, floor is open for recommendations for like 1 minute here. And then I will push forward either with prompts that have been given or my own ideas. Okay. The problem. Maybe the neighborhood boys ran in and broke one of the prize roses in a garden, and we have to go and use healing magic to fix it. The lesson that our teacher can remind us before they send us off to help fix the broken rose will be that, healing is a slow, contemplative process and not something you can force. Maybe there's a punchy way I can say that. And what we'll miss is this beautiful garden that, I don't know, Uncle Village Man has, and what I will be glad to leave behind is the roving packs of rowdy boys who break them. So let's see if we can put that together. I'm gonna call it Oji-san for now. That's just basically uncle, and which is a term used of endearment used in similar ways in English, whether you're a blood relative or not. But name for this is just a placeholder. A name for the fellow with the garden would be appreciated. Okay. Oji-san asked Mother today to help if she could save one of his prized blue roses. I knew Mother could most likely repair it with her magic, no problem. And so I set back to packing my bag and whittling some slivers off my broom. To my surprise, though, Mother pointed Oji-san towards me and said I could handle it. I was so nervous. I really loved walking by those sweet smelling, unusual roses, listening to the hum of the honeybees around them. So much so that I was afraid I might destroy them. I told her I doubt I could do that, and she snapped back, "Don't be lazy, mijo. I doubt you can journey off if you can't. Just remember, healing is slow and can't be forced." Oh, hello, Witchery. Witchery says, "I'm sort of here, sort of asleep, but I'm glad you're giving it a shot." No problem. Thank you for the recommendation. I will repeat what I had said earlier, which is if this video gets 6 likes, then I know 6 people are interested in me doing it again, so that we can take that character and go into some of the other mechanics and follow them on their journey, because it is definitely not a single stream thing. But we're coming on the tail end here for this one. Don't be lazy, Mio. I doubt you can journey off if you can't. Just remember, healing is slow and can't be forced. One rose may become 2 from where it's broken. And rose may become two from where it's broken. There we go. I told her I doubt I could do that, and she snapped back, "Don't be lazy, mijo. I doubt you can journey off if you can. Just remember healing is slow." So I pushed aside my packing, clicked my tongue to call Mango. That's it. To call Mango to my side. Though he wanted to sleep as well. He wanted to sleep, not go for a walk. No, even though he wanted to sleep and ignored me. How about that? So I pushed aside my packing, clicked my tongue to call Mango to my side, though he wanted to sleep and ignored me, and followed Oji-san to his garden. On the way, I asked him why it had been broken, and he said a herd of local boys were playing some mixture of football and frisbee that wound up with them tackling each other over his garden fence and flat onto his blue roses. I shared in his frustration. The boys from the school were worse than a herd of raccoons. What is the term for a group of raccoons? Also, why does the English language insist on giving every animal herd its own name? Japanese does that a lot with other objects. Like if you're going to refer to a count of paper or paper-like things, there's a particular word for it, whatever. But I don't understand why we do it just with animals. The boys from the school were worse than a herd of raccoons. I shared in his frustration. The boy from the school was the worst. And I certainly was not going to miss their hollering our prankster antics. I healed the rose. It did grow into two. Or it did grow an additional bud at the break. just like Mother anticipated. And it didn't even feel that hard. It was thrilling to be all on my own and helping an old friend. It has made me so excited for my journey. I cannot sleep and keep kicking my feet against the edge of my mattress. Mango told me to stop. He said he needed his beauty rest. But I just can't contain it. All right. Witchery says emboss would be poke out. Yeah, I think that's a reference to the embossing of the dimples. I realized that the way I phrased it probably wasn't as clear as it could be. I was hoping that it would just sort of be taken implied. But what I mean is, I gotta have a dimple myself. It's more of a wrinkle. Is the way that a dimple pushes up the ridges around it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I am aware that like embossing is like, for those who don't know, is like the raised letters on your card and whatever else. The okay. I don't think I'm going to push further than that because basically it just comes down to, will the video get enough likes that indicates to me people actually enjoy me playing this game. You may enjoy the game, but not me playing it, and that's fine. So, you know, like I said, let me know through likes. The usual like high max we get on this stream, because it's not super popular, is like 5. So if I get 6, I know that some people have specifically hit like because they want to see more of this game. If that happens, that happens. If not, that'll be the end of the game. I'm going to read back what we did, and I'm going to finish them. Okay, if you're coming to this part of the stream, it's because you just want to know what we came up with. And what we did here was basically use some of the prompt structures already built into the game to build the backstory of our character, and then we did one of our journal entries on the day before we leave to go off to the game proper. And I will remind people that if you do really enjoy this, even if you're just watching this part of it, if you want to see more of it, of this character sort of developed, leave the video a like on the video. If I get enough likes, I will continue with Miho next week, Miho and Mango next week. I called this playthrough Sometimes I Do Nothing, which is a reference to a quote from the Kiki's Delivery Service movie, which this is based on. This is the book... the tabletop RPG Koriko, which is heavily based on being Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service with some customization in there. So our first entry is our character introduction and background. Our second entry is our own creation of an event. My name is Miho. I'm a 13-year-old... Does this sound like a Miho? 13-year-old girl? Witch in training. When you first see me, you'll probably notice my pair of dimples that emboss my face every time I smile. Though for me, it's the silly cowlick that sticks up in the back of my hair. All the magic of a master witch, and even my mother can't get that cowlick down. I do like my little tiger stripe in my eyebrow. That's what my dad calls it. I wear knitting that my grandmother made out of all her custom vibrant yarns. My favorite is a long pink and cerulean swirl of a sweater that doubles almost as a skirt. Also, I braid my hair and weave it out into spry pigtails. I never go anywhere, though, without my wood and cloth rag doll in the pocket of my jacket. You'll probably also notice my familiar Mango. He is an orange tabby cat that never leaves my side. Our bond is so strong that we can even talk to each other, though you probably won't understand us. Most folks from my village would say I'm lazy, I think. The people close to me make it clear that I should always be harder working. As for me, I think I'm just efficient. Why do more work than I have to? Though I'd really like to be more independent. I'm writing this from Konomizu, the quiet little village I've lived in all my life. I live here with my mother, the village witch. People in the village say my mother is a friendly and easygoing person, but they actually can be quite strict when it's just the two of us. If I ever leave my laundry unfolded for a day, then my mom grounds me. Who folds laundry the day it's dried anyways? Since I decided to become a witch, they've acted as my mom has acted as my mentor, teaching me the basics of the good old ways. We've learned a lot together, but now it's time for me, I think, to put it into practice on my own, far from their guiding hand. Mango and I thus will be leaving on the next full moon, just 2 days from now, to spend a year away. I hope to learn to be more self-sufficient, but also want to be a helpful and talented witch like my mother. When I dream about my new home, I wake up with lingering memories of a bright dawn on the sea-touched sands and narrow alleys through old buildings that swirl with warm breezes over their cool stones. Journal entry number 2. 2 days until the full moon. Less than 3 OMG. Oji-san asked Mother today if she could save one of his prized blue roses. I knew Mother could most likely repair it with her magic, no problem, and so I set back to packing my bag and whittling some slivers off my broom. To my surprise, Mother pointed Oji-san towards me, and I said I could handle it, all on my own. I was so nervous. I really loved walking by those sweet-smelling, unusual roses, listening to the hum of honeybees around them, so much so that I was afraid I might destroy them. I told her I doubt I could do that, and she snapped back, "Don't be lazy, mijo. I doubt you can journey off if you can't. Just remember, healing is slow and can't be forced. One rose may become 2 from where it's broken." So I pushed aside my packing, clicked my tongue, call Mango to my side, though he wanted to sleep and ignored me, and followed Oji-san to his garden. On the way, I asked him why it had been broken, and he said a herd of local boys were playing some mixture of football and frisbee that wound up with them tackling each other over his garden fence and flat onto his prized blue roses. I shared in Oji-san's frustration. The boys from the school were worse than a herd of raccoons, and I certainly was not going to miss their hollering or prankster antics. I healed the rose. It did grow an additional bud at the break, just like Mother anticipated, and it didn't even feel that hard to do. It was thrilling to be all on my own and helping an old friend. It has made me so excited for my journey I cannot sleep and keep kicking my feet against the edge of my mattress. Mango told me to stop. He said he needed his beauty rest, but I just can't contain it. There we go. Witchery says, "You got decently far in. That's great. Well done." Oh, thank you. Yeah, I basically just wanted to get that intro done. Now, the actual mechanics, for anybody who's actually seen it, just as like, if I never get a chance to talk about this again, which is, again, is up to the audience. And like, don't hit like if you didn't like it. You know, I'm asking for honest feedback here. This isn't me gaming an algorithm. I did set it up because I didn't know how far we would get. Is this complex organization of tarot card decks into particular ways, and it involves, and this I'll leave this as a teaser. It has one of the most unique features I've ever seen, which is to decide on success when you go to do something. Instead of rolling a dice, you stack dice like this. Like you put it on a surface and you stack them. depending on what you're doing, you might have to stack quite a few dice. So if you don't have a lot of d6s, there is a way in the book that you can get around that. Witchery says, has Raymond been staring at our souls like this the whole time? Yes. Raymond is the name of that cat, by the way. So if they fall down, that means they failed at their task, and that becomes the prompt. So it will involve me stacking dice. It also has a grid system where you're trying to fill rows, so you can rows or columns, so you can get. There's a lot more to the game, anyways. So if you want to see any of that, if you are interested in the idea of a Kiki's Delivery Service tabletop RPG, if you feel like my kind of writing here has captured any of that feeling, feel free to give the video a like, and I'll, check it next Thursday, and if not, I'll do something else next Thursday. All right. I may as well introduce these, because I'm sure no one's left. This is Raymond. Raymond's from Animal Crossing. This was a gift from a friend. I have no idea where it came from. On a guess, I think it's probably a knockoff. Not a knockoff. That's not the right word. Counterfeit. Like, I think it might have come from... there's the thing, a lot of, like, online cheap versions of things are basically that factory selling out stuff they're not supposed to be under exclusive contract. That's what I mean. Because it doesn't say Nintendo anywhere on it. This is the little Ponyo, which was a gift actually from the same friend, coincidentally. Ponyo wants ham. This is Ponyo in their like half fish form. If you've never seen Ponyo, it is in many ways similar to Little Mermaid, in many ways not. I think it's kind of based on the same tropes. This is my little pug that I've had for a disturbing amount of years, like 30 years or something. He's a beanbag. It's because I used to have a pug. And then this is Eeyore, because I have depression, and Eeyore is the mascot of depression. I like him for that reason. Those are my stuffed animals. I took my Geralt figure down because I felt like doing a Kiki's Delivery Service tabletop RPG with Geralt sneering in the background was probably not thematically appropriate. Anyways, well, I that's all I really have to talk about today. Thank you for coming in at the end there, Witchery. It was good to see you. GS, thank you for helping me build Miho and Mango, our characters. Witchery says, and his friends all love him no matter what. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh is a very touching atmosphere, a very sweet. I was going to say movie, but I mean it has movies. A very sweet show. But anyways, that's all for me. Thank you so much for everybody who came by. You don't have to go home, but as you know, you cannot stay here. Get out of my witch shop? I mean, it's a bakery in the show. I'll see you next week.